Okay, this is gonna, of course. Okay, there we go. This is gonna be a quick video on TOST, so Toast. I'm gonna quickly go through the monthly. I do plan on entering some fairly deep out of the money calls for September. I just think their risk to reward is absolutely fantastic for this name. I've had a little bit of a change in opinion on where the overall market is. I guess I'm going to briefly talk about that. It was very hard to be long the market, especially with where it had retested. But honestly, I at this point, I think it was just a shakeout or reaccumulation within here, and just kind of a dip buy back into this previous accumulative range. So obviously, we've been ripping. I think it needs a little bit of a pullback now, especially to retest previous all-time highs. But I am fairly bullish on this thing. I can't look at these quarterly candles on ES and NQ and specifically IWM. I mean, we need to be long small caps for the rest of this year. I mean, this, you can't get a better quarterly chart in my opinion. Especially with the false breakout or the false breakdown with this long lower wick. I don't think it's ready to absolutely cruise yet. But man, oh man, I mean, these quarterly candles on some of these names, sure we had that massive or like big dip back in April, but I think it's going to be a dip. I was very under the assumption that throughout, I'd say probably these candles, that this low would eventually be retested, but I'm just not quite sure. I mean, these volume prints on some of these weekly candles are absolutely just obscene. So I guess more towards the SMCI side. A little short-term bearish on that, just with how I think tech is lagging here a little bit. I don't really want to be long SMCI yet with tech starting to stall, especially on the weekly here. I think you're going to see some short-term bearishness in the Qs at the very least here, and just to retest previous all-time highs, really. You know, let the EMAs catch up here on tech, retest previous all-time highs. That's why I'm a little bearish on SMCI. That's why I didn't have you enter with the 7% day. I just want to talk about Toast. Anyway, that was my overall market talk. I do want to talk Toast here for a second. I absolutely love where Toast is on the monthly here. I'm going to go pull that up. We see a very nice large bullish candle, 4 candles inside, a long lower wick, retesting previous structure right through here. And then a nice bullish engulfing candle right here, and then we had a nice indecision monthly. See how there's a little bit of a test on the monthly. We're coming right back into previous highs on this candle, and it was a very indecisive bullish candle. Actually, which opened in the wick or closed. Well, it opened right at the wick pretty much, and then closed within the wick. So that's a very large denotion of strength here on Toast. So. One more large denotion or sign of strength is the volume profile. So value is derived by volume time and value, volume time and what? Volume time and price. Price is the probe. Volume time and price is value. So I really do like seeing this high volume, the high VPOC within this range. It tells me that there's clearly value being accepted up here, and it's a very, very, very indicative of higher prices, especially in my back testing and just trades I've had this year. Usually when we see this high VPOC like this, it's almost always worked out to be higher prices in store. I really like how Toast is making this weekly flag and retesting it above previous highs, and yeah, I think the monthly looks fantastic. The weekly looks fantastic. And even here, you're going to see the same thing. Here's just the 4-hour chart that I've been looking at. You know, you have your clear imbalance down here where price wicks below. Nice hammer off of it. And then you're going to see clearly a very large increase in volume, decrease in volume throughout the range. Obviously, you have this gap up day, likely a semi-change of hands within here. And then, you know, we've been pushing higher. So as long as Toast is able to break above 45.50 and hold it, that hold it is the big part. It's looking like it's going to here in after hours, but 45.50 is going to be my entry. I'm looking for maybe 2 monthly candles here. I'm going to see, the rest of July. I want to see the rest of July's candle, and then I want to see August candle with earnings here. Earnings in August, and then half of September. So I was even thinking, looking at the Toast like September, and I'm going deep out of the money here. I think with how this is lined up, especially with the volume profile and where it's set up on the monthly, I think this looks absolutely fantastic, especially with banks. So financials don't look great. XLF is starting to put in some weakness, so I think some money rotation into names like Toast as the overall market kind of pulls back a little bit, retests those highs, and then keeps chugging along. With banks rotating out in tech, I think a launch in Toast is certainly attainable. So absolutely love it. I think I'm going to be taking a stab at some deep in the or out of the money calls on Toast, looking for like a 2-month move here. I'm even thinking I'm thinking the 60s. So the 60 calls for about 45. I looked into some leaps. Probably not going to go leaps, but I like the September 45. So let's say we got it at like 0.45. I'll probably be risking like 3-ish thousand. That's about 10% of my account right now. So like 65 cons. Yeah, right around that. And I mean, these moves are insane. I realistically don't think 75 is out of the question. I really don't. I don't. That's $3 to $100 right there. I don't can you see get me back to my radar Toast. I can envision two just absolutely bullish candles with the August and September here, especially with that earnings. I'm very excited for earnings. So yeah, that's my plan on Toast. A little bit longer of a video and market update, but I mean, previous all-time highs were 70. I don't think there's any reason it can't hit 70 with how it looks on this weekly. I mean, here you're going to see previous highs here at like what, 45.50, 44.25 ish, and then we've had it's exactly what I want to see for an accumulative range. You see a very large gap up. We went from 32 all the way to 40-ish. You see volume and volatility contracting throughout the range, and then you see price make its nice spring down here where price loses this level, very bullish candle, and then we've been flagging essentially at previous highs, and we had a hammer candle off of the previous high over here today. So Toast, I mean, it's doing exactly what I want it to. Who knows? I'm not saying it's going to go to 70, but I'm very bullish, and I'm going to be risking a comfortable size position. If earnings is a dud and is flat, IV Crush is going to absolutely smoke this thing, which I'm fully aware of. So really like Toast. I'm going to be taking a swing at some deep out of the money calls. And the return is potentially life-changing. Not life-changing, but you get the gist. I mean, if this taps even previous highs, it's like, $3 to $72 grand. It's year making, really. So, yeah, pretty high conviction on Toast. Willing to risk, my regular position size. I'm not going to be throwing my whole account on it, certainly, but very bullish on Toast.